Now, for a lot of players, the 1.5 sight is one of the best attachments, if not the best attachment in the entire game. People like running this thing, whether because it's actually effective out close and long range, or for the simple fact that it's just fun. But there are some players out there that get pretty upset when the 1.5 gets removed from their favorite operator. It's because that was one of the key aspects of why that operator was so fun. Oryx is a pretty good example. If you look at the pick rate right here, you see Oryx was pretty popular right before he lost to 1.5. And if you look at his pick rates on PC nowadays, you can see that he fell off the face of the earth. But do people really think the 1.5 is that powerful, or do people just enjoy it that much? Either way, we can see that this is kind of a problem for some players. A common solution to this is that people just say give every operator the 1.5 on their primary options, because then no one would pick an operator for 1.5 because everyone has a 1.5, and that is a good idea in theory, but there's a few problems with that as well. The main issue is why would I run a 1x site or any other site for that example? There would be no variety in the site department, but I do have a few ideas of how they could potentially fix this. Now, it's going to sound kind of funny when I say this, but instead of giving everyone the 1.5, you literally just give everyone the Acog. Okay, but how would that fix the 1.5 problem, you may be asking? Well, because look at it this way. Ubisoft added a rule. As long as you have a higher magnification sight, you got the lower ones as well. So, for Census POF9, they have the Acog sight, so they also have the 2x sight and the 1.5 sight. I think that would fix the variety problem, but now this also does come with a few problems itself. Number one, you may still be asking yourself, why wouldn't I just run the 1.5 on literally everyone? Because some operators, it doesn't really make sense to run the 1.5 on. Thermite, for example, he's more of a support operator. Usually you will find these operators holding more angles than what an entry fragment would have. So what you will likely see for a Thermite player is an ACOG or a 2x sight, because again, they're holding those further angles. And for people that still use LMGs nowadays, you will probably see them holding more angles, so it would make sense if they have a 2x or an ACOG as well. And for people that would use the 1.5, you will probably see operators like Ashe, for example. And then maybe for a flex role, you'll probably see people use Jaeger. And I know a lot of people want the 1.5 on Jaeger, but there's also OG players that played with him when he had an ACOG. So they will likely start running the ACOG as well for nostalgia, and I imagine it wouldn't be too bad. Again, this also brings another issue. Why would I run the 1x sites? And that's a pretty good question. Now, you would think for an operator like Ashe, who is an entry frag, or even Ayana, to have a hollow set because they're going to try to get into closer engagements. So the 1.5 wouldn't really make sense, but people would likely still run it. I kind of have a solution for this as well. Ubisoft has been kind of having a track record recently to where some of the less used attachments, they get an additional benefit. Think about the extended barrel. Before, it only increases your damage range fall off, but now it also increases your actual base damage. And what I was thinking they could do with the 1x sights is also give them an additional benefit. What I was thinking is give them maybe a 15% boost to ADS speed. And I think this makes perfect sense for operators like entry fraggers and even roamers on defense, because they are likely going to get into more gunfights compared to an anchor or a support operator, so a faster ADS speed will make total sense for that. This would pair extremely well with the angle grip, because I don't really see people really running it nowadays because of the ADS nerf that happened to it, but now that you have this additional ADS buff with the 1x sights, it will be extremely quick nowadays. Well, let's say Ubisoft decides to do this and they don't want it to stack with the angle grip. Then I think a fix for this is I saw a reworked concept for the angle grip to where instead of it just giving an ADS speed, it increases your reload speed instead. But personally, I would like to see the angle grip keep the ADS speed, because the way I'm looking at this is that we can kind of do certain builds with our guns now. And I understand that the people that do pick Oryx for the 1.5, or at least when he had it, will likely just pick the 1.5 on every operator, and I do understand that, but I think for everyone else, this will give us a lot of variety when it comes to the attachments. People do say variety is the spice of life after all. And also, with these changes, I think the game will just overall be more fun. Because personally, I do like having these higher zoom sights on certain guns. Like, I have always dreamed for Maestro's Alda to have a 1.5 or a 2x scope on it, and I know the ACOG on the Alda was cracked, and that's why they removed it, but I think that would just be so fun. And I don't only have to pick Maestro for a 2x, I could pick Thunderbird, for example, on defense. But at the end of the day, it would be my choice if I wanted to run the 1.5. And for the OG players, we could finally run the Ashe R4C ACOG again. And I feel like with this, it will make the OG players happy that miss quote-unquote old Siege, and it wouldn't necessarily break the balance of the current Siege we have today. Also, I just want to clarify, I'm obviously talking about the full auto primary weapons that you can find on every operator, because it would be kind of ridiculous if we could use the Acog on Smoke's M590 shotgun. Now, likely, there's probably a few issues that I haven't even realized yet, and I would love to know if you share any concerns about this, and I would also love to know if you agree or disagree with me on this. And I do love reading your comments anyway. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and say that's the end of the video. If you like what I make, I appreciate if you subscribe, and I recommend you go check out some of my other content, because I would love to know your feedback on them as well. With all that said, I am Tony. I hope you have a good day or good night, and goodbye.